शुरू करें। ओम वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। In the 17th shloka of this 7th chapter, in the 17th shloka of this 7th chapter, Lord Krishna paid rich tributes to Gnani Bhakta. Having said in the previous verse, there are four kinds of bhaktas: Artaha, Jijnasuhu, Artharthi, and Gnani. Sri Krishna followed it up by saying, of these four, Gnani Bhakta, one who loves me, adores me, holds me in the highest possible regard, but along with that love, regard, reverence, respect, and so on, has a certain extraordinary insight, and that is the Advaita insight, that it is one truth that expresses as God and as the devotee. One water expresses as the ocean and the wave too. But waves do not know they are one with the ocean. Waves do not know they are nothing but water, and that water itself is the ocean. Waves get very attached to their particular form, name, some particular details. You and I also get obsessed with our language, with our community, with our caste, with our color of the skin, where we are born, where we went to school, what we did. That whole bunch of memories holds us captive. The bunch of memories hijacks us. Alas, we are held a hostage not by Hamas or by some other terrorist group. We are held hostage by our thoughts about who we are. No wonder Sri Ramana Maharshi says, question every thought that you have about who you are and reject all of them. Then you abide by who you truly are. This Gnani Bhakta is like that. Gnani Bhakta looks at God like any others would do with all reverence. But side by side, he knows he too is that Satchit essential. It is Satchit in the form of a little personality. On the personality level, we definitely are very little. But on a deeper level, which Advaita Vedanta unravels, discloses, reveals, we are one with God. Therefore, the 17th verse in picturesque language said, Tesham Jnani Nityayuktaha Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. Eka Bhakti, he is or she is always, all the time, in adoration of that supreme divine truth. Whereas you and I have moments of love and devotion, maybe during a satsang or on occasions when we are doing some sadhana, couple of tears, drops of tears may drop down, come down our cheeks. We do experience bliss. But sometimes half an hour after that satsanga or personal sadhana, a new model of a car goes on the road and we say, I wish I could buy this car. Maybe a bit expensive, but I may be able to put together the funds required for this car. J. Krishnamurti rightly said, man's sorrow is in his wanting to become. A very interesting quote. Krishnamurti doesn't say man's sorrow is in wanting to become a famous man, a rich man, this. That's not necessary what you want to become. The moment there is this thought, I want to become whatever it is, you have already moved away from the abidance in your true nature. Vedanta categorically says to us, you don't have to become anybody. You don't have to become anything. Vedanta is not against your becoming anything, but the whole thing, please note, is suffering from that desire to want to become. There is nothing wrong if you become the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of this great, largest democracy on the earth, India. Nothing wrong in becoming the PM. But if you are suffering, oh my, will I ever become the PM? Will I ever become the President? Or even on emotional levels, will I ever be the dearest to this bunch of people, that bunch of ladies, this bunch of boys, children, adults? Even in school and college, a student wants to be the favorite of the maths teacher or the science teacher or the Kannada teacher. I want to be the favorite student in the class to this teacher. I want to become the favorite. If you happen to be the favorite, that's different matter. But wanting to become, without going long on that, man's sorrow is in wanting to become, period. Like that, the other three, Artaha, Jidnasuhu, Artharti, are caught in wanting to become. Artaha wants to become free from certain hardships he is going through. Artharti wants to become a wealthier man. If he is already wealthy, he wants to become a wealthier. Jidnasu, if he is already a bit of a scholar, wants to become a greater scholar. All of us are interested in becoming somebody, becoming something. Look at Krishnamurti's insightful statement. Krishnamurti seemingly criticized, mocked at all the scriptures, all the books. He once spoke in the famous glass house of Lal Bagh in Bengaluru, where I am today delivering this lecture. Not very far from Lal Bagh I am sitting. In the glass house of Lal Bagh, where the Queen of England and countless dignitaries had come. Lal Bagh is a historic place in the garden city of Bengaluru. And J. Krishnamurti made certain statements like that. Throw your Bhagavad Geetā into the dustbin, said. A good friend of mine, Mr. Iyengar, full of faith in Sanatana Dharma, could not stand it. In the middle of the lecture, he got up and walked away. But many years later, Mr. Iyengar, Dr. Iyengar, PhD in Sanskrit and all that, was surprised to see my interest in J. Krishnamurti. He said to me, of all people, why are you into J. Krishnamurti? He makes all objectionable statements. Then we had some discussion. Then Dr. Iyengar said to me, oh, I never looked at Krishnamurti from that angle of view. His statements are very disturbing. But when I hear you, when I listen to how you look at J. Krishnamurti, it makes sense. He talks of Vedanta from another angle of view. Dependence on books, dependence on gurus, dependence on places, dependence on symbols, overdoing that. Symbol becomes more important than what it stands for, let us say. For the sake of a symbol, you are ready to kill another person. For the sake of a symbol, you are ready to disturb social harmony, etc. Fighting over a symbol, lacking the sattvic intelligence to negotiate, to bring sense to others who might be insulting your symbol. There are many rajasic and sattvic ways in which you can tackle social disharmony, but it is tamasic to take the gun, take the sword, take the knife, or throw stones at others who may criticize your symbol. Straight away, go to destructive, disruptive, and unpleasant, violent ways. Alas, a certain section of humanity is always tamasic. For small thing, they straight away go to stone pelting or take sticks and beat up the other person, etc. So much sorrow then is the result. There are rajasic ways where, yeah, you are not all that mature, but still you would go about solving problems with certain dynamism, where you are a bit aggressive, you are a bit pushy, you are a bit, kind who twists the arms of others. Sometimes you may tell a couple of lies also to get your way, but on the whole, you are avoiding that barbaric violence or brutal physical gestures. You go for little better ways. Rajasic way also causes sorrow eventually. Rajasastu phalam dukkam. But a sattvic leader, a sattvic politician, statesman, a sattvic administrator, a sattvic person in some responsibility deals with challenges in such a way that least damage, if not no damage, occurs at the end of it all. Painless process. Like these days in medicine, certain surgical procedures have come which are known as methods of least intrusion or least interference. There are surgeries where they do not cut open. Maybe they make a tiny hole in the body at certain place and an instrument goes inside and does what needs to be done. Sattvic methods are like that. There is also laser surgery these days, where a laser beam, not even visible, I guess, to the human eyes, goes inside and does whatever is to be done. So spirituality and modern technology sometimes have certain parallels in terms of analogy. Therefore, to be a sattvic leader is like adopting very advanced methods of conflict resolution. Shankaracharya said, we saw it already, Ekabhakti means Anyasya Bhajaniyasya Adarshanath. At that height of wisdom, anything beautiful is a little tiny reflection of God. A beautiful car, oh, God has created this. Beautiful place, some degrees, some medals, some trophies, some recognition in some hallowed halls. All of that is nothing but a tiny bit of God. Therefore, Anyasya Bhajaniyasya Adarshana. Aham Priyaha Atyartham Jnaninaha. Aham Jnaninaha Priyaha Sahajnani Mama Priyaha. That is how the shloka ended, but then many of us will be slightly depressed. So you have apparently some partiality. You go for the Jnani Bhakta and we do not count to you. Who are we? हम आपके हैं count. In this way, some of us may feel sad. We may say, Lord, Sri Krishna, so all said and done, you only care for jnanis. We are arthas or jijnasur or artharthis. Don't we mean anything to you? Shankaracharya connects the 18th sloka with just a few words. न तरहि आर्तादयः त्रयः वासुदेवस्य प्रियाः. Does it mean that the other three, trayah, artha adayah, artha jidnasu, artharthi, those who want to be freed from some affliction, those who want more wealth, those who want more knowledge, te trayah, those three, vasudevasya, na priyaha tarhi, they are not dear to him. The answer is no, it's not so. Kim tarhi, what then? This, as we have said many times, is a conversation between an imagined opponent called Purvapakshi and the custodian of the true philosophy, Siddhanti. The Purvapakshi says, does it mean Sri Krishna doesn't like Artha, Jidnasu and Artharthi? The Siddhanti says, no, no, don't misunderstand. Then what? That is said in the next sloka. Udara sarva evaite jnani tvatmaiva me matam आस्तितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम्. Krishna says, please don't jump to a conclusion. Don't be hasty in coming to some understanding of Bhagavad Gita. My words. Sarve eva. By Sandhi it becomes Sarva eva. Sarve eva ete sarve eva. All these four categories, especially the other three categories, udara, they are wonderful beings. I love them. I have great feeling for them. I take care of them. I do stand by them. Udara elsewhere is generous, but here Udara is, all of them are praiseworthy. All of them deserve to be admired, respected, loved, whatever. Udaraha sarve eva ete. Then why did you say Jnani is most dear? Because Jnani is like my own self. Jnani to Atma eva. All are Sri Krishna's self, but this is to be understood how? Because they do not regard themselves as one with Sri Krishna, as intimate with Sri Krishna. They see a distance. Lord sees that they have a distance in their mind. The distance is in the mind. The wave that knows it is water and the millions of other waves which do not realize that they are water are both water. Whether a wave knows it is water or not, it is water only. Likewise, Artha is also essentially Jnani yet to be opened, yet to blossom. They are buds, but the Jnani is an open flower. Atmaiva me matam. Many a time in our society we come across some very wise people. They are so kind. They do service in various ways. Don't have a narrow idea of service. Social service doesn't have to be in the form of blood donation or some other serving the sick, curing the sick, building hospitals and orphanages and so on, which are excellent. But if you are kind-hearted, in a little place where are just 4 or 5 people, but you are kind towards them, understanding, cooperative. You don't act as though you are superior to them, nor do you suffer from some inferiority complex. You mingle with them and always do your best. That is a great social service. Anyway, We say, I was giving another analogy. We say sometimes there are people who look at all the children in the neighborhood as their own children. And the children feel that also. This uncle, this Dadaji, this Nanaji over here, this Dadima is dear to us. We love her, we love him. Children say in the whole locality, sometimes we see. But that Dadaji, grandfatherly figure, or this Dadima, grandmotherly figure, of course, spends more time and gives special attention to her own grandchildren under the same roof where she lives. So is the case with Mahatmas. Great Mahatmas also love all their devotees, but don't be silly in imagining that if a Mahatma is truly impartial, then one day he should take his, a Tamilian should serve a meal to him, another day a Gujarati should serve a meal, another day Bengali should serve a meal at the lunchtime, and another day a foreigner, because he has to be equal. Somebody once commented about Satya Sai Baba. Currently, those years, Satya Sai Baba always received his afternoon meal from a Punjabi lady. That Punjabi lady's was she daughter or niece? Somebody in Delhi told me. My aunt, yeah, niece. My aunt serves the afternoon meal to Satya Sai Baba every day. Every day? Yeah, yeah. He only takes, he sets up the meal. He comes and then takes his afternoon meal. Then we had a discussion about it. So is Satya Sai Baba partial to Punjabi ladies? Should he not take afternoon lunch from different hands, some days from men, some days from women? Silly. If you interpret equality in those terms, it is utterly silly, logistically impossible. There are always a couple of people who are more with the Mahatma, but don't hastily judge the Mahatma to be partial towards them. So the Dadaji in a certain neighborhood, the Mahatma in some ashram is equal to all, but with certain people for various reasons, out of some karmic bonds also, he or she is closer. So, going by these analogies, Sri Krishna's love is equal towards all. He loves even people who criticize him, who attack him. But Janitu Atma eva matam. Astita sahi uttatma. He is well integrated and he actually Mam Astita. He shall take shelter in me, knowing so well that God is the best destination. Uttama Gati. Mam Uttamam Gatim Matva. Mam Uttamam Gatim Natva. Knowing me to be the best of all, Astita. He stays in devotion to God. So let's see how Sri Shankaracharya explains Udaraha is Utkrishtaha. Yeah, that's an excellent synonym. Here Udara means Utkrishta. Utkrishta means preeminent, excellent. I earlier said praiseworthy. Sarve evate tayopi arthascha jijnasuscha अर्थार्थी च अर्थो जिज्ञासु अर्थार्थी त्रयः अपि सर्वे एते मम प्रियाः एव न हि कश्चित् मद्भक्तः मम वासुदेवस्य अप्रियः भवति. No way God dislikes any of these. Apriyah na bhavati. All are dear, but Gnani is, in a certain sense, more dear. Atyartham priyaha, dearest. Atyartham priyaha bhavati iti vishesha tat kasmat. Our question is why? Acharya Shankara raises that question, which we have in our minds. Why? Why is Gnani extra dear? Ataha aha, Krishna answers, Gnani tu atma eva na anyaha mattaha iti me mama matam nischayata. All said and done, that's how you and I behave also. You and I, whether we like it or not, love ourselves the most. That is the truth. But if you are mature, if you are evolved, we have overcome tamas and arrived at rajas, overcome rajas and arrived at sattva, then even though we love ourselves the most, our behavior would be such that we don't come across as selfish. Because that sense of self-love is so refined, it has become extremely inclusive. There's a certain spiritual insight in the mature person that to love myself is actually better accomplished when I love others, because others in a way are in me. I in a way am in them. Therefore, my love for myself can never be compartmentalized. Therefore, the Jnani sees himself in others and he sees others in himself. Atma eva. So we love ourselves the most. That is brought out in the Maitreyi Yajnavalkya Samvada in the second chapter of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which repeats in another chapter also, but in the second chapter it comes, where the punchline is, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. You love yourself, and at a certain time in your life, a certain car gives you maximum happiness. As long as the car gives you happiness, you love the car. One day, for some reason, your perception of the car changes. You see some far better car, and then this car which you used to love so much is no more a source of happiness to you. Then you don't pay much attention to this car. You want the other car, and you may buy that other car. You bring that. We had a certain person in our village when I was growing up. He was, by our small town standards, pretty rich. So he used to have all kinds of hobbies. Those days he got into the hobby of photography. And he used to spend a lot of money on buying this camera, that camera. I remember when we were all small boys, one day he showed us, he said, this is Yashica camera. What is Yashica? We didn't know. There's some Japanese camera or something. Proudly. Then he used to tell us, smaller boys, come, I'll take a photograph of yours. And then in his house he had made one dark room. He himself would develop the negatives. He himself would then print them or go to a printer and print them. In other words, though he was a doctor by profession, he had developed such interest. But one day it tapered off and he no more was interested in photography. I went to him that time. Why then I had come to 10th standard, and for filling up some application form, I needed a photograph. I said, can you take a photograph of mine? I don't have to go to there are studios in the town. I did. You go to the studio, I will pay for it. You see? That camera, Yashica or Ishika, whatever, so many of them, they were all just lying on the side and he didn't bother anymore. So was the camera a source of happiness? No. As long as the photography, for various factors, was bringing happiness to him deep inside, into respect to his ego. But the ego is nothing but the pure self constructed in our perception. that is limited in our perception. The ego is, in a sense, representative of the pure self. Where there is ego, there itself, go inside, you will find the unlimited pure self. In the Vedanta, we say, you want to see the rope, don't go 10 feet away from the snake. Exactly where the snake is, see properly, you will see the rope. Like that, there is a certain ego in us. At some time, it likes photography. Later on, he was into buying one car, selling it, buying another car. Then later on, there was a time, I'll complete the example. We were all in a big house where he was an elderly person. He was very fond of going every Sunday morning to some restaurant in the neighborhood. And we tiny tots were all around. He would wait. And he would say, are you coming? Are you coming? So in an ambassador car, he would take 7 or 8 children to some restaurant and some dosa, some pushmanda halwa, I remember. Pushmanda means, a kind of not pumpkin exactly. I think it is the ash gourd or one of those. My knowledge of cooking or recipes is less. But there is one pushmanda, a certain vegetable. In the broad category of this gourd, that gourd, and pumpkin, etc. There was a restaurant in our nearby town called Koteshwara. And this man would drive so many of us in his ambassador car, and all of us would have Sunday morning a special breakfast at a restaurant. That also went off. After some time, if anybody said, when will you take me to that Pattabhirama restaurant? I'll give you the bus fare, you go, and I'll give you the money, you go and eat. He was no more interested. Therefore, I elaborated more than necessary. This Yajnavalkya saying, wife is not dear to a man because of wife's own wifeness, or a husband is not dear to a lady because of his being the husband. A house is not dear to somebody because of the house is a house. A wife or a husband or a son or wealth or car or house or any of them are all dear to somebody because basically all of them play some kind of a middle role. The happiness within himself is uncovered by them. They are nimitta matra. So this person who was 15 years older to me, I should complete now. At one time, the camera made his mind quiet and he experienced his own inner happiness. The happiness did not come from the camera. The happiness did not come from the Pattabhirama restaurant in Koteshwara, 3 miles away. In those days, 3 miles also was a big distance. So somebody took us 3 miles and gave us some breakfast. It was a big thing for us. Anyway, not the restaurant Pushmanda Halwa, not the car, not the photography. All the time, Yajnavalkya says to his dear wife Maitreyi, happiness is within you. Now the Jnani knows, and Sri Krishna knows that this Jnani knows this top secret, that there is happiness in the Atma. He knows he is also the Atma. He knows I am Atma. Whereas others who are wonderful people, other ladies and gentlemen who pray to me are in some ways more adorable than Jnani. In some ways. Krishna has said it in some other chapters. He has said at the end of the 12th chapter, he says, somebody who doesn't know much, but with terrific faith, worships me, such a devotee is very dear to me. In the 12th chapter, towards the end, last sloka, he doesn't say, Jnani is the dearest. He says, somebody who doesn't have the highest jnana, but has such childlike faith, out of faith, practices dharma, stays devoted to God. He is dearest to me. So even this statement, I love the Jnani the most, more a contextual statement. It's not to be stretched beyond limits. In certain contexts, Sri Krishna loves maybe the Artha more, maybe the Artharthi more, maybe the Jignasu more, maybe some Shatru more than all these bhaktas. It's all contextual. To complete Sri Shankaracharya's commentary, Astitaha, Shankaracharya says, means Arodhum Pravruttaha, all set to board, mount, climb up. We have covered already the 6th chapter. There the word Arurukshu had come. Arurukshor Muner Yogam Karma Karana Muchyate Yogarudasya Tasyaiva Shamak Karana Muchyate. Arodhum Pravruttaha. Arodhum Ichuhu is the meaning of Arurukshu. But here it is slightly different way. Arodhum Pravruttaha Jnani Ahameva Bhagavan Vasudevaha Nanyosmi. The wave can never say, I am the ocean literally. But what is meant is, the wave says, I am that water of which the whole ocean is made. And being water, I do not die. The wave may come to an end, but that water is present there. Therefore, Advaita Vedanta should never be misunderstood as some kind of arrogance. I am same as Sri Krishna and so on. The Advaita Jnani doesn't say, I create, I dissolve, I maintain, I run. No. Even if said in some Prakarana Grantha, it has to be rightly interpreted. It is in a certain, what we call figurative sense. Literally, where are we? Where is Sri Krishna? Samudro hi tarangaha natu samudraha tarangaha. This is a line in Vishnu Shatpad. Avinaya Mapanaya Vishnu Damaya Mana Chamaya Vishaya Mruga Krishna. There is a composition of 6 verses. Many of you know that. It's called Vishnu Shatpad. In that, attributed to Adi Shankaracharya again, Bhashyakara says, Samudrohi Tarangaha. A wave belongs to the ocean. We can never say the ocean is part of a wave. So, Satya Vedapagame. So, in the Advaitic insight, the division gets erased. He says, I never can become you. Oh Vishnu, please remove any trace of arrogance in me. Avinayam, apanaya. Avinaya is arrogance. So such a statement like Ahameva Bhagavan Vasudevaha can be said by ignorant people, half-baked people in a spirit of arrogance. But those true jnanis, maybe during their sadhana there was a little arrogance. But when they are enlightened, no trace of arrogance is possible. Darpa, Dambha, Abhimana, all of them completely vanish. Therefore, Ahameva Vasudevaha Namnyosmi is a certain loving intimacy. That's about it. Ityevam Yuktatma. There is one more word in the second half of the sloka, Yuktatma. Shankaracharya very appropriately says. What is meant by Yuktatma? Literally means the mind that is united. Means Samahita Chittaha. Every time you and I are disturbed and depressed or sad or this or that, nothing else has happened except we have stepped aside from God, from the pure self. The mind has stepped aside. All we have to do is take a 5 minutes break, take a deep breath and do some japa. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram. I just spent some 3 or 4 days at a very serene, quiet ashram outside Bengaluru called Hamsa Ashram. Every morning they have some prayers for about an hour where all residents have to join. At the end of it, all take kirta, prasada, arti, As they leave the hall, they chant, Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. And you should see the faces of everybody as they come out serene, having chanted Veda mantras, Gita shlokas, having participated in that morning prayers. At the end, as they sing Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Rama, faces are serene. When we get into worldly activities, our mind goes outward and it suffers. In prayers, in japa, in tapa, in satsanga, in shastra chintana, Vedanta manthana, mind turns inward. And we feel on top of the world. We don't want anything at all. We feel, wow, this morning is heavenly. Every morning was heavenly in that sense, but our mind was extrovert. Samahita chitta. Samahita chitta doesn't mean you become irresponsible, forget the duties that you have to perform, and become insensitive. No, that would be a misunderstanding. Samahita chitta is you become calm and happy, and rather than becoming insensitive or irresponsible, you are actually empowered. Being calm and fresh, being refreshed and rejuvenated, you say, okay, well, oh, I need to do that job today. I am ready. Without any delay, you roll up your sleeves and do what needs to be done. Therefore, true spirituality empowers you to do your work swiftly, efficiently, in an excellent manner. As Sri Krishna said in an earlier chapter, I guess in the second chapter itself, Karyam karma samachara. He says to us, Karyam karma is our duty. Yat karyam, that which needs to be done. Karyam karma, he doesn't say chara. Chara means do. He says achara, do it well. He says samachara, do your duties, do the work that you have taken up, which has fallen on your lap, which has come to your desk. Do it to the best of your ability. From the tamasic way of doing, please progress and do it in the rajasic way. And very soon progress further. Do your work in sattvic way, where you don't hurt people unless it is unavoidable. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes even if you approach the issue with all maturity, care, the other person gets hurt. You can't help. That's different. But to the extent possible, do work, get your goals accomplished, reach your desired destination with least hurt or harm to others. Not easy, but we must try. Samahita chittaha, therefore, for heaven's sake, should not be misunderstood as we becoming very calm and not bothering anymore about the world around. We don't have to get into anything and everything, but at any time in our life, there are certain things which our own conscience says they are our duties. We owe this to our spouse, to our children, to our elders. Our conscience says, not Shastra, not some book. Then we should do them. In the name of becoming Yuktatma, Samahita Chittaha, we should not be escapists. True spirituality does not promote or support or endorse escapism. Samahita Chittaha San, being of calm mind, Mameva Anuttamam Gatim Pravrittaha. Astitaha is connected. The shloka has Uttamam Gatim, and some of you may be surprised. How come in this shloka there is Uttamam Gatim? Mame, oh, shloka also says Anuttamam Gatim. Mameva Anuttamam Gatim. Yeah. It's not Uttama. Mameva Anuttamam Gatim. Even then, some of you may be surprised. Uttama means the best, Anuttama means not best. Well, how can God be not best? This is a Bahuvrihi Samasa. If it were Nan Tatpurusha, there is a kind of Samasa called Nan Tatpurusha. Lavanam means salty, Alavanam means not salty or less salty. In fact, Anuttama also in some other context can mean that. Uttama means the best. Anuttama means not the best. But here, by context, Anuttama means An means no, not. And Uttama means best. But the Bahuvrihi Samasa brings out a meaning in a different way. That in comparison with which nothing is the best. This is the best. In Vishnu Sahasranama, a name of Sri Krishna, Sri Mahavishnu is Anisha. Elsewhere, Anisha means Na Isha. He is not the boss. Somebody else is the boss. But when Anisha is the word signifying Mahavishnu, it's Bahuvrihi Samasa. He who has no Isha. Tatpurusha Samasa is, he is not Isha. And Bahuvrihi is, he doesn't have an Isha. He is the Isha. Like that, Anuttama means this sthiti, that supreme love of God, is a sthiti, a state where nothing can be better than that. In that sense, Anuttamam Gati, it is the best. Mameva Anuttamam Gatim Gantum Pravrittaha Astitaha and so on. Therefore, on one hand, this shloka clarifies all are dear to God. On the other, it throws some more light on the most enviable state of mind for inner understanding of the Jnani Bhakta. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.